Have you ever noticed that your most embarrassing memories have perfect timing? They wait, quietly, patiently, and then, just as you're about to fall asleep, just as your guard is finally down, they strike. That thing you said 5 years ago, that awkward moment from middle school, that text you sent that came out wrong. There's something strange about the human brain's relationship with embarrassment. During the day, you can push these memories away, distract yourself, stay busy. But at 2 a.m., when the world is quiet and there's nothing between you and your thoughts, they come flooding back with crystal clarity. And here's the paradox. These moments, the ones that make you cringe so hard you physically recoil, often weren't that big of a deal. Nobody else remembers them. Nobody else is lying awake thinking about what you did. But you're replaying it, like it's a crime scene you're trying to solve. So why does your brain do this? Why do embarrassing moments haunt you in the middle of the night? And what is your mind actually trying to tell you when it won't let these memories go? Let's start with what's actually happening when you're lying in bed, reliving that moment you tripped in front of everyone, or said something awkward at a party. Your brain isn't just randomly torturing you. It's putting you on trial. And you're the prosecutor, the defendant, and the judge all at once. You replay the moment. You analyze every angle. Why did I say that? What were they thinking? Did they notice? Of course they noticed. Everyone noticed. I'm an idiot. And then you do something fascinating. You revise history. You imagine what you should have said, what you should have done, how you could have avoided the embarrassment entirely. You create alternate timelines where you're smooth, confident, just perfectly composed. But here's the truth. This midnight trial isn't about the past. It's about the future. Your brain is trying to protect you from making the same mistake again. This is what psychologists call counterfactual thinking, mentally simulating alternative versions of past events. And research by Dr. Neil Rose shows that we engage in counterfactual thinking most intensely when we feel personally responsible for negative outcomes. So when you replay embarrassing moments, you're not just remembering, you're rehearsing. Your brain is running disaster simulations, trying to learn from what went wrong so you can avoid similar situations in the future. But here's the problem. This protective mechanism has a glitch. It can't distinguish between genuine social threats and minor awkward moments. So it treats everything with the same level of urgency, the same level of threat. But here's where it gets complex. The reason these moments feel so catastrophic is because of something psychologists call the spotlight effect. You believe everyone noticed your mistake. Everyone saw you stumble. Everyone is thinking about what you said. You imagine a spotlight following you, illuminating every flaw, every awkward moment, every social misstep. But here's what's really happening. Most people weren't paying that much attention. They were too busy worrying about their own spotlights, their own moments, their own potential embarrassments. Research by Thomas Gilovich at Cornell University shows that we dramatically overestimate how much others notice and remember our mistakes. In one study, participants had to wear an embarrassing t-shirt in front of others. They estimated that about 50% of people would notice it. In reality, fewer than 25% did. This is the spotlight illusion. You think you're the center of attention, but most people are the center of their own attention. Your embarrassing moment barely registered for them, if it registered at all. But at 2 a.m., your brain doesn't care about this reality. It's convinced that everyone remembers, everyone noticed, everyone is still judging you. Because to you, that moment felt enormous. So it must have been enormous to everyone else too. Now let's talk about why embarrassment feels so intensely painful, almost physical. Because that's what makes these midnight replays so torturous. Not just the memory, but the feeling that comes with it. That cringe you feel, that's not just discomfort. That's your social brain's alarm system activating. Humans are fundamentally social creatures. For most of our evolutionary history, being rejected by the group meant death. You needed the tribe to survive. So our brains developed an incredibly sensitive threat detection system for social rejection. And embarrassment? Embarrassment signals potential rejection. It suggests you've violated a social norm, made yourself look foolish, potentially damaged your standing in the group. So, when you recall an embarrassing moment, your brain doesn't just remember the event, it re-experiences the threat. Your amygdala activates. Your stress response kicks in. Your body reacts as if the social threat is happening right now, even though it happened years ago. This is why embarrassing memories feel so visceral. Why they make your face hot, your stomach drop, your whole body tense. Your brain is treating them like active threats to your social survival. And this is where it gets really interesting. The reason these memories surface at night, specifically, is because of how our brains process emotions during different states of consciousness. But here's the thing. There's a reason these memories ambush you at 2 a.m. and not 2 p.m. During the day, your prefrontal cortex, the rational, executive function part of your brain, is fully online. It can regulate emotions, contextualize memories, keep the anxious thoughts at bay. But at night, as you're falling asleep or lying awake in the dark, your prefrontal cortex starts to power down. Your rational defenses weaken. And all those thoughts and feelings you've been suppressing during the day suddenly have free rein. This is what psychologists call the pre-sleep period, a window of vulnerability, where your brain is more susceptible to intrusive thoughts, rumination, and emotional reactivity. And here's what's really happening. In the absence of external stimulation, no phone to scroll, no conversation to have, no task to complete, your brain turns inward. And when it turns inward without your rational defenses fully operational, it gravitates toward unresolved emotional content. Embarrassing memories are unresolved emotional content. They carry shame, regret, anxiety about how you're perceived. During the day, you can push past these feelings, but at night they demand to be processed. Dr. Allison Harvey's research on pre-sleep cognitive activity shows that people prone to anxiety and rumination experience significantly more intrusive thoughts during the pre-sleep period. Your brain isn't trying to torture you. It's trying to process emotional information when your usual defenses are down. Now let's talk about what makes these midnight replays so destructive. They don't just recall the embarrassing moment. They spiral into something deeper. Shame. Embarrassment says, I did something awkward. Shame says, I am awkward. Something is fundamentally wrong with me. When you're replaying that moment at 2 a.m., you're not just thinking about what you did. You're making conclusions about who you are. I'm so awkward. I'm so weird. People must think I'm pathetic. I'll never be normal. This is the shame spiral. One embarrassing memory becomes evidence of your fundamental inadequacy. And once shame takes hold, your brain starts pulling up other embarrassing moments. A greatest hits compilation of every time you've felt foolish, awkward, or rejected. Dr. Brené Brown's research on shame shows that shame thrives in secrecy and silence. When you're alone at night, replaying these moments in isolation, shame grows stronger. It convinces you that you're uniquely flawed, that everyone else has it together, that your awkwardness is proof of something deeply wrong with you. But here's the truth. Everyone has these moments. Everyone lies awake sometimes, cringing at memories. Everyone has done or said things they wish they could take back. The difference isn't that some people don't have embarrassing moments. It's that some people have learned not to let those moments define them. But here's something fascinating. The memory you're replaying at 2 a.m. probably isn't even accurate. Every time you recall a memory, your brain reconstructs it. And in that reconstruction, details change. Emotions intensify. Your interpretation shifts. Think about the embarrassing moment you replay most often. How many times have you recalled it? Hundreds? Thousands? And each time you recall it, you're not accessing the original memory. You're accessing the last time you remembered it. This is what psychologists call memory reconsolidation. Memories aren't fixed recordings. They're stories we tell ourselves, and those stories change with each telling. So that moment you remember as absolutely mortifying, it might have been mildly awkward. That thing you're convinced everyone noticed, they probably didn't. That judgment you felt from others, it might have been your own judgment projected outward. Your 2 a.m. brain is replaying a memory that's been edited, amplified, distorted by shame and anxiety. You're not reliving what actually happened. You're reliving your anxious brain's interpretation of what happened, revised through countless retellings. And this is where it gets really complex. The people who replay embarrassing moments most intensely are often the ones holding themselves to impossible standards. If you believe you need to be perfect, polished, always saying the right thing, never looking foolish, then any deviation from that standard feels catastrophic. Embarrassing moments aren't just memories for you. They're evidence of failure. Proof that you're not meeting the impossible standards you've set for yourself. Confirmation that you're not as put together as you should be. This is what Dr. Paul Hewitt's research on perfectionism reveals. Perfectionists experience more intense shame and self-criticism around social mistakes because they interpret those mistakes as personal defects rather than normal human experiences. So when you're lying awake at 2 a.m. obsessing over something awkward you said, you're not just remembering an event. You're prosecuting yourself for being human, for being imperfect, for not living up to the flawless version of yourself you think you should be. But here's what you need to understand. That flawless version doesn't exist. Nobody is smooth and perfect and never awkward. The people who seem that way, they're either very good at hiding their awkwardness, or they've learned not to let it matter so much. So what do you do when you're lying in bed at 2 a.m. and your brain won't stop replaying that moment from 3 years ago? First, recognize what's happening. Your brain isn't torturing you for fun. It's trying to protect you from future social threats. But it's using an outdated threat detection system that can't tell the difference between genuine danger and minor awkwardness. Second, reality check the memory. Ask yourself, is this memory accurate, or has anxiety amplified it? Did people actually react the way I remember, or is that my interpretation? Would I judge a friend this harshly for the same moment? Third, practice self-compassion. Instead of, I'm so stupid for doing that, try, I did something awkward and that's okay. Everyone does awkward things. This doesn't define me. And finally, and this is crucial, accept that you cannot change the past. The moment happened. Replaying it endlessly doesn't undo it. The only thing you control is how much power you give it in the present. Dr. Kristen Neff's research on self-compassion shows that treating yourself with kindness after social mistakes actually reduces the likelihood of ruminating on them. Self-criticism doesn't prevent future mistakes. It just makes you more anxious, which actually increases the likelihood of future awkwardness. Remember that question we started with? Why does your brain replay embarrassing moments at 2 a.m.? It's not because you're broken. It's not because those moments were actually that terrible. It's because your brain is hardwired to care deeply about social connection, and embarrassment feels like a threat to that connection. But here's what I need you to hear. That awkward thing you did 5 years ago, nobody else remembers it. That embarrassing moment from last week, it registered as a blip for everyone else and disappeared. The only place these moments are still alive is in your mind, and you have the power to change your relationship to them. You don't have to let embarrassing memories define you. You don't have to lie awake prosecuting yourself for being imperfect. You don't have to carry shame for being human. What if, instead of cringing at these memories, you saw them as evidence that you tried, that you showed up, that you were brave enough to risk being awkward because you were willing to be present in the world? Every embarrassing moment is proof that you're living, not just hiding, that you're taking risks, not just playing it safe. So the next time your brain replays that moment at 2 a.m., maybe try something different. Maybe say, yeah, that was awkward, and I survived it, and I'll survive the next awkward moment too. Because you will. You already have.